Om Shanti and good evening. Dadi, did you want to say anything first? Did you want? So, Daddy will say a few things very shortly. I love question and answers with Daddy, partly because, as we experienced in the last few days,
Om Shanti to karo, Om Shanti.
We did. One Om Shanti. 3, Daddy? 1 Om Shanti we had.
अच्छा.
Daddy was with Baba.
बहनें और भाई ओम शांति. अच्छा. रब मेरी टेस्ट लेने बैठा है.
Rob is going to be testing Daddy today.
No. Never test you, Daddy. We'll ask you some lovely questions that the brothers and sisters have sent in. Some may be a little challenging. One is slightly bizarre, but they're all entertaining, and Daddy will answer them in her own way, of course. One of the lovely things that I was saying about asking Daddy questions is that, as we saw up in Oxford and then here, she'll answer the question and then she'll play with it for the next few days and go deeper into it. And so that's why it's always great having Daddy's questions, because she'll play with them and then develop them. So, just moving towards the first question, as you know, as we all know, the story of the Yagya is the greatest love story. And it is the love story upon which all the other love stories in the drama are based. And there are many. And of course, with love stories, there are always challenges. And a few times we fall over, a few times we make errors. But the love story triumphs in the end, which is always wonderful. And of course, for us, we know that all these things that happen are in the drama, so why should we worry? And I rather like this morning that Jayanti-ben was talking about us being Yagya Rakshak, if I've got it right, defenders of the Yagya. So I think that's great. That's a great thing to be, and I love that concept. So, which sort of leads us to the question to Daddy, as the Yagya, as the institution gets bigger, and it's grown so much since I came along in 1984, when we all had a sort of a very strong connection with the heart of the Yagya, and there are so many, possibly not many of us here today, who came in late and who don't have such a connection with the Yagya, and sometimes I feel that as we get bigger, I think, oh no, where's the heart going? So my question to Daddy is, and this is one that you sent in, as the Yagya gets bigger, how do we keep and develop our real deep connection with the heart of the Yagya, which I always think is love and forgiveness? These things, how do we keep these and develop these things in our lives and in the Yagya when we feel it may be, some of us, it's getting away from us, and we want to keep that center strong?
Question तो बड़ा अच्छा उत्तर तो शॉर्ट में ही चाहिए ना?
Do you want short answers or long answers?
नहीं.
Or Daddy, I don't know, we've got an hour and a half, we've got about 5 questions.
Family बैठी है.
So family sitting here.
तो family सब समझ गए हैं.
And so everyone knows within the family what happens.
पहले मैं कहती हूँ challenge शब्द नहीं कहना चाहिए.
First of all, we shouldn't be using the word challenge.
जब challenge कहेंगे हाँ ये तो बड़ी challenge आई है. तो शिकिला सब कैसे हो चैलेंज आई है ये नहीं
Your face becomes small when you think of something as a challenge and you think that is something really difficult. You have to
तो
face a
खुद ही
challenge.
जब कह रहे हो ड्रामा है तो ये बहुत यज्ञ के सारी हिस्ट्री के अंदर ड्रामा की नॉलेज बिल्कुल जो अंदर से ड्रामा अच्छा है तो घबराहट वगैरह नहीं आती है गुयता है इसमें कुछ नवीनता आने वाली है
You yourself are saying that it's a drama, and so when you think of a drama, then there's nothing to be afraid of. Everything is fixed in the drama. Look at Dadi. You'll get some extra power.
क्यों क्या होता है क्वेश्चन पूछने वाले क्या करते हैं आंसर सुनते नहीं और क्वेश्चन निकालते जाते हैं ये ऐसे नहीं करना
Dadi doesn't like interviewers who are constantly thinking of what to ask next instead of listening to the answer that you've just asked the question of.
नहीं क्या होता है आप बहुत बुद्धिमान है ना तो टेस्ट लेते हैं क्या उत्तर देती है फिर उसमें क्वेश्चन इसको पूछ के इनको बुझाए हैं
That is saying that perhaps you're so intellectual that you're testing Dadi to see what answer she's going to give, and so you want to ask her such questions that you wonder what she's going to come up with.
बाबा ने इतनी अच्छी गिफ्ट दी है जब मैं किसी को भी मैं अपना है ना भाई आप अपने भाई हो ना बहन भाइयों से बात करती हूँ
Just speaking to my brothers and sisters, and so we're part of the family, and so everything's okay.
इसलिए बाबा क्या करता था साकार मैं जैसे आज बोला कल भी बोला हर बात में मुझे साकार बाबा की बात याद आती है बाबा देखता था ऐसे भाई है अभी कोई बहन बताने वाली भी ऐसी हो नहीं तो उस बच्चे उल्टा सुल्टा उत्तर दे देंगी तो ये और ही क्वेश्चन पूछ के उसको मुझा देगा बेचारी को
Baba would always be aware of the people that come to ask questions, and she's saying like people like you would come, intellectual people would come, and if the person, the sister who's explaining to them, if she doesn't know how to explain properly, then she'll confuse the person who's come, and so Baba would make sure that the person who comes would get the appropriate teacher.
और हम क्या करती थी ये सब देख जैसे ये भी ऐसे सुनने क्वेश्चन का आंसर सुनने के बजाय ऐसे से न करे इसलिए तो देखती थी सुन रहा है अच्छा यहाँ सोच रहा है तो इनसे और क्वेश्चन पूछूं भाई आंसर दे रही हूँ सुनो तो आपको आंसर मिल जाएगा
So Dadi is also wanting everyone to be listening with attention. You're all hearing the questions and the answers. Robin's asking the questions, but at the same time, Dadi is paying attention that you're not just thinking about the questions, but also listening to the answers so that you get the answer to the question.
Answer short में ये है एक तो यज्ञ रचने वाला भगवान है.
So the answer in short, it's God who has created the Yagya.
जो समझते भगवान यज्ञ रचने भगवान के बच्चे हैं.
So God has created the Yagya and we are God's children.
संगम युग है.
Part of sitting at the confluence age.
कलय युग कहाँ सत्युग तो आने वाला है. संगम में तो सारा इतना परिवर्तन ऐसा होने वाला है होगा जरूर.
The Iron Age has been left behind. The Golden Age is yet to come. And we know that at the confluence age, there's definitely going to be transformation.
उसमें ये नहीं समझना नए विचारों को पता नहीं है नए जल्दी समझ जाते पुराने पूछते पूछते रुक गए हैं.
So don't think that the new ones who come perhaps wouldn't understand, but they're able to understand quickly, whereas the old ones, they're still hesitating, thinking about asking questions and not getting a clear clarification. They come to a standstill.
कोई नए अच्छा हर्ष तो नहीं पुराने कहते मुझे यज्ञ की सिस्टम समझ में नहीं आता है मैं तो अपने ढंग से चलूँगा बस ठीक है.
The new ones that come, they'll start walking along and doing everything accurately, whereas the old ones that come, they'll say, well, I can't understand the systems of the Yagya and I'm happy to move along just as I'm doing.
ऊपर से देख लिया अंदर से यज्ञ से कितनी प्राप्ति है यज्ञ रचने वाला कौन है ये सब हमारे ब्राह्मण बहन भाई है वो अच्छी तरह से प्यार से देख करके जान करके खुश होवे ना.
It's like they're just seeing everything superficially, but instead of going right deep inside the Yagya and seeing how everything is working, knowing that we're all part of the one family, all of these are my brothers and sisters. And so rather than having that deep connection, it's just looking at everything superficially.
बस दो शब्दों में जवाब है, संगम युग है, भगवान ने यज्ञ रचा है, बाबा ने मुझे ब्राह्मण बना करके यज्ञ सेवा अर्थ अपना बना के रखा है, भाग्यवान हूँ.
So just in 2 words, the answer is, God has created the sacrificial fire, made me his child, and made me a Brahman, and made me be the server of the Yagya so that I'm able to look after the Yagya.
बाकी कोई क्वेश्चन उठाते हैं, मूंझते हैं, तो खुद भी औरों को बेचारों को सेवा के बदले उनको मुंझा देते हैं.
Sometimes you take such questions that sometimes you yourself are confused, and so you bring up such questions that you confuse the other people that come also.
छोटी सी कहानी सुनाती हूँ.
So just a short story I'd like to share with you.
कराची में बाबा का बंगला क्लिफ्टन पर था, पर एक शांतामणि के बाप का बंगला था. वो जैसे अच्छा था, शांति से कभी शहर में आता था ना, बाबा उस बंगले में रहता था. थोड़े 2-3-4 लोग रहते थे, तभी बाबा उस बंगले में था. बताओ फिर मैं.
This was at the time when they were at the Clifton Beach, but just a short distance from there, there was another bungalow there that belonged to a relative of Dadi Shantamani. And often Baba used to come there and stay in that bungalow because it was a very peaceful place.
तो क्या था, रात को 2 बजे बहुत करके बाबा बाथरूम के लिए उठता था.
Generally, Baba would wake up around 2 o'clock to go to the bathroom.
तो बाबा की रूम अंदर थी, मैं बाहर रूम में सोई पड़ी थी.
Baba's room was right inside and Dadi's room was just on the outside.
जब बाबा उठा तो मैं भी उठ के खड़ी बैठ गई.
So when Baba woke up, then this woke up Dadi also, so Dadi sat up.
तो बाथरूम से होकर के आ रहा था, कहा यहाँ बच्ची.
And Baba called her just as he was going past Dadi's room.
जो सच्ची दिल वाले होते हैं ना, पता नहीं कैसे भगवान शिक्षा दी है, बच्ची. मैं खुश हो गई. बाबा बुलाया, कमरे में लेके गया, कहते बच्ची नहीं थी, थोड़ा समय, किसके बातों में कभी नहीं आना. वो दिन आज का दिन भगवान ने ऐसी कोई, मैं तुमको पता है ये बात कैसी, तो पता है सुनने बुलाएंगे, मैं क्या जानूँ इस बात को. इसमें इतनी सेफ रही हूँ, साफ रही हूँ, बिल्कुल.
So those who have an honest heart, then God finds a way of giving them some teaching, some guidance, some correction. And so at that time, 2 o'clock in the morning, Baba's calling Dadi and saying, child. And then the guidance that Baba's saying is that never get involved in matters of other people, wanting to know, being interested in what's happening about other people. And from that day onwards, it's like that has been my protection, that I've never wanted to know what's happening about others. And this has really kept me very safe. Otherwise, people generally come to you and ask you, do you know what's happening about this? Do you know what's happening about that? It's like they come to you for gossip.
जैसे बाबा ने समझ थी, बाबा के पास आने थे, पता था कोई आत्मा सत्वगुणी होती है, कोई रजोगुणी होती है, कोई तमो बेचारा पुरुषार्थी है, कोई इतनी पहचान हो, सत्वगुणी कोई विरला होता है. बाकी और ही रजोगुणी तमोगुणी मेरे को भी उसमें ले. तो इस बाबा के 2 बजे रात के जो बोल है ना, उसने मेरी रक्षा कर दी.
So Baba is very much aware of souls being of different levels. Some are Sattoguni, some are Rajoguni, some are Tamoguni. And so Baba is wanting us to become Sattoguni. And so those who are Sattoguni, they never get involved in the matters of other people. And even if you're making effort to be Sattoguni, there are others who'd want to bring you down because they themselves are of that level, being Rajoguni or Tamoguni. And so not getting involved with such souls, but just constantly making effort to be a Sattoguni soul. And that has really been my protection from that day onwards.
आदि से लेकर के जो बाबा के बच्चे पैदा हुए अभी तक सबका प्यार है, मेरा भी प्यार है. बाकी बातों में मेरे को जाना ही नहीं है, not allowed.
From the very beginning, yes, they're all Baba's children, and I have love for them, they have love for me, everyone has love for Baba. But other than that, I don't want to get involved with other things that really don't concern. That's not allowed at all.
ज़्यादा नहीं बताती और क्वेश्चन पूछो बाकी यज्ञ रक्षक और अपना रक्षक परिवार का प्यार ये होना ज़रूरी है
Not going into too much detail, but it's necessary to be a protector of the yagya, to be able to protect the self and to have that love for the family.
ये हमारा फर्ज कहता है
This is my duty.
ओके
Okay.
ठीक है थैंक यू नेक्स्ट
Daddy, one thing, Robin's not an intellectual. He's an actor. And actors, actors just deal with feelings, so they're actually...
ऐसे तुम तो सबके तरफ से क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हो ना
That is saying that she didn't really mean intellectual in that way, but you're asking questions on behalf of everyone.
अभी मैं भी एक्टर हूँ ना
So even Dadi is an actor at the moment.
एक्टर
Number one.
Number one actor.
एक्टर प्ले करते हैं ऑडियंस को क्या प्राप्ति हो रही है
The actor plays their part to make sure that the audience is getting some attainment, some benefit,
कुछ समझ मिले
so that they get some understanding.
इसलिए तो अच्छा है
So it's good. You're asking good questions.